Joining me live now is the Assistant Treasurer, Michael Suker. Michael, thanks for your time this morning. So how is this going to improve cash flow for small and medium businesses?
Well, Pete, we're making some very important changes for the GDP uplift instalment rates in effect from the next financial year. Rather than imposing a 10% uplift rate, it will be 2%, which in everyday parlance just means that small businesses, sole traders will just be required to remit less in their PAYG throughout the year. That will mean better cash flow for them throughout the year, as opposed to paying PAYG and then potentially reconciling it at the end of the financial year, some $1.85 billion. So keeping that cash in the businesses during the year rather than remitting it as a PAYG instalment, and really important changes around pre-filling tax returns, ensuring that small businesses only have to complete documentation once by making some big investments in ATO IT systems that can match data and ultimately mean small businesses are spending less time filling out paperwork for a state revenue office or for the ATO, and more time on their businesses. So more cash in their business and less paperwork in effect.
Right, but if you've got smaller instalments to pay throughout the year though, doesn't that mean that you would have a higher payment to make at the end of the financial year to make up for that?
Well, no, because the point of lowering the instalment rate, Pete, is to make sure that that instalment rate better reflects the reality of the situation. So rather than overpaying through the year in PAYG and then claiming it back at the end of the year, which is an experience for many small businesses, you leave the cash in the business. To some extent, you're right. The tax you pay is the tax you pay. But if you have an instalment rate that's too high, in effect, you are without that cash throughout the year through your PAYG.
Yeah, right.
We think it's better for that cash to stay in the business rather than coming out of the business and then going back in once you've reconciled your tax return. So again, keep the money in the business because that is ultimately what is there to invest in the growth of the business, invest in employees, and we think will have great impact on the economy.
Okay, just a couple of points that Anthony Albanese's made this morning I want to get your reaction to. He says there will be no inquiry into the claims made by Kimberley Kitching because, in his view, no complaint was made to him. What's your reaction to that?
Look, Pete, I was a friend of Kimberley, and a lot of people are grieving now. And I was at her funeral where nearly 2,000 people were just a couple of days ago. I think in the end, Kimberley deserves justice. I think her friends and her family have made that very clear, particularly the family. And I think her family and their wishes deserve a lot of credit. And as I said, I think Kimberley does deserve justice. And I think a review, an inquiry is wholly appropriate given what details we do know. And I'm not going to breach any confidences of discussions I had with Kimberley, but I think it's very well known the significant and enormous pressure she was under and the unpleasant experiences that she suffered. So that's all I'll say on it, Pete, other than, I think Kimberley does deserve that justice. And I think just batting it away in the way that the Leader of the Opposition has really seems pretty heartless to me.
Well, when he was very quick to call for one when it involved the coalition, to be denying one now, is there a double standard here?
Look, Pete, there's no doubt the hypocrisy is breathtaking. But again, I'm really torn here because I was close with Kimberley, and I think the opposition leader just has to do the right thing. I think Kimberley deserves justice, and I'm flabbergasted at the heartlessness of the Leader of the Opposition's response. That's all I will really say, Pete.
Okay. That's Michael Suker, the Assistant Treasurer, live for us this morning. Thank you, Michael. We'll talk to you soon.